Hey guys, Sarge here. So I had a viewer ask a question on a previous video, and they kind of wanted to see what my thoughts were on it. So I'm going to start a new series of videos, guys, going straight from content that you guys want to see or questions that you guys have, and then just making a whole video out of it. The question that they had is, what setup do I recommend for individuals that live in country areas, either up in the mountains, wherever it is, and they're going outside to walk their dog? What kind of setup do I recommend that they have? And the environmental factor plays a huge role into what I'm getting ready to say. Understanding where your neighbors are at, where the closest neighbor is at, and knowing just the general layout of the area plays a huge role into it. You know your area better than I do, okay? Just some of the things that I will say with that: if you live in a neighborhood, okay, you can't always do the same thing that people that live in the country can do, especially in relation to shooting animals, okay? Or if an animal tries to attack your dog, things of that effect. There's certain things you can most definitely do in the country that you cannot always do in a neighborhood due to those environmental factors. Something that I do want to point out too: you can never have too many lights, okay? And in many cases, people don't have enough. If you are going to go take your dog outside on a walk, right, everything plays a factor into it. What kind of dog is it? How big is the dog? My personal preference with it is I recommend having a leash that is retractable so I can control the distance that the dog is straying off or going, okay? The reason why it plays a factor is if now a threatening outside entity comes into play, I can pull the dog closer and it locks itself into place. I don't have to give up any hand strength of holding the leash at a certain point and dragging the dog to me. I can lock the leash out and then pull the dog in, okay? All that plays a factor into it. One, knowing your own strength and knowing what kind of dog do you have, okay? If you're a 100-pound person and you have a huge Rottweiler or a huge Pit Bull, German Shepherd or something like that that you can't control, that's something that I would think about. If they feel threatened or if a situation is happening, what is their response going to be? And what can you do with that response? Things to think about. On the side of gear, things that I use. I'm a big proponent for the Surefire lights of all kinds, but I really like the Surefire stiletto. One of the reasons why I like the stiletto is it has the constant on and off option, but what it also has is a momentary on and on at the rear here. So it is very nice, okay? I won't blind out the camera all the way, but it's very nice light, okay? Has very good output, quality, and it's very light. And that's kind of a positive with it too. As much light as it does have, as much luminance in it, it really doesn't take up any space at all, and you can clip it to your pants, however you want to do it. It's good to have with you. Something that I do, and I do this with any light that I'm going to hold in my hand, I will take what's called paracord or 550 cord, and I will normally run it through. Normally all lights will have some sort of opening you can use, and I will run this through there, and I will make a makeshift lanyard, okay? And the reason why I do this is so it's out my hand. So now whenever I'm going to use the light, it's all going to be at my hand, to when if I need to drop the light, I'm going to drop it, but because it's attached to this lanyard, I don't have to worry about it going on the ground, later having to search for it or anything like it. And if I need to reuse it, I can, because it's on my wrist, okay? So it's not lost. The reason why that's important: if I am searching for something, this is the light that I'm looking for. If I hear noises and I'm just trying to identify, okay, what is that noise, what's going on, I'm using the Surefire stiletto. If it escalates, now I've identified a threat, the threat is approaching me, and I can't get away from it out of fear of it, hurting myself, hurting the animal. I know the environmental factors. I know where, if I do have to engage this threat, I know where the bullets are going to go. I understand the backdraw or backstops. I understand all of that, right? So all those fundamentals are there. Got them. Those are not an issue. My choice for it is a pistol similar to this. Obviously, depending on what kind of environment you live in, will obviously dictate the caliber. If I lived out in Montana or other places where I might have to worry about, you know, mountain lions or bear or something to that effect, this would probably be a Legion 10mm P220 that I have. But for where I'm at with coyotes, I'm 100% okay with a Glock 45 chambered in 9mm. And I use the red dot with the Streamlight TLR1-HL. The reason that I like this setup, a lot of people think if you put night sights on your pistol, it now makes you, it makes it easier to see at night, right? The only thing that you can see easier at night are your sights. It does not make the target easier to see at night. It does nothing other than makes your sights easier to see at night. Having a light on your gun will always make the target easier to see at night, okay? So, my idea with it, I have the light here to get 100% positive identification of what I'm about to shoot, and then I have the red dot so I don't have to sit there and focus up on lining up sights or anything to that effect. I just put the dot on what I want to hit, press the trigger, and I'm good to go. A couple things to think about with this. If you're running a weapon-mounted light and a red dot, and you have never had the dot and the light on at the same time and went shooting, you need to, okay? The reason why. If your red dot is set to a certain setting, and let's say maybe it's a lower setting, but it's one that you can see naturally. Whenever you turn your light on, it might wash out that dot. So if this dot is set to a lower setting, and I turn my light on, I can't see the dot at that point. So I have to find the setting on the light, or on the red dot, where can I still see it with my light turned on? That's what you need to go and do, because when this light turns on, you want to make sure you can see your dot, okay? So that's something you guys need to think about, okay? Especially if you're going to carry it for that kind of thing. But for me, if I was outside and encountered something, I would choose this setup. The reason why, if I'm using this hand to hold the animal and I'm pulling in a leash or whatever it is, I don't want to have something to where it's going to take two hands to operate the pistol, revolver, whatever it is. So like my 44 Magnum, I don't feel comfortable enough with my 44 Magnum one-handed to run it the same way I can run this one-handed. All right. With this pistol, I can operate everything with one hand. It has momentary on, momentary off. It has constant on, constant off, so I can turn the constant on, get positive identification, and then engage whatever the threat is. And for you guys out there that are warriors and cool internet commandos who have taken a couple tactical training classes that were tactically awesome, you're not fighting SEAL Team 6 or whoever it is, and a lot of this stuff that you guys you learn in classes, skills and tactics wise, they do not apply in every single scenario, and that's why the military uses MET-TC. Okay, primarily individuals who teach a lot of these classes, they'll loosely teach a class based on MET-TC, and that'll be a video that we'll do later on, just showing some of the things with it. But every load light class that I've taken, seen, or anything to that effect, they all act like, well, as soon as my light's on, they know where I'm at, they're going to shoot me. Okay? Okay. Situation is 100% dependent on that, for one. For two, if my pistol's out, it's out to be used, right? And that's another reason why I carry a secondary light. Okay, or this is the main searching light, right? And this is my, game's on light. So those are things to think about. I don't use my weapon-mounted light to just look for things. Like, oh, hey, I dropped my keys. Let me look for things with my weapon-mounted light. That is not its purpose, and it's not what it's there for, okay? If I am engaging an animal, I'm turning the light constant on, okay? And it's going to do no difference to the animal, especially after I shoot it. So those are things to think about, okay? Let's not get too crazy, carried away with all those hua tactical things that we've learned from the internet or from people who call themselves instructors. Just things to think about, okay, guys? So for me, going out, I would want a pistol that I can easily manipulate with one hand. I would choose a red dot in that situation, and I would choose a weapon-mounted light. So that would be my kind of criteria with it. Now this Glock, and this is my, I just released an updated video on it, but this is my Glock 45 that was done up by KSCA Custom Arms, guys. I love this pistol, okay? Not just because it's got my name on it, but I love it. Okay, he does really good work. Let him know that you guys appreciate it, and I sent you over there to him, and he'll give you guys some outstanding deals, okay, good prices. Ammunition-wise, what I've been running and what would be my choice for that, I have been using the 124 grain Golden Freedom Seeds from G9 Ammunition, or their Montana Golds Freedom Seeds. They're top notch. I keep a magazine of these in the gun, and then I keep a magazine of their 80 grain internal or external hollow points as well. Have had no issues with those. They would do just fine shooting coyotes or things of that effect. So that's what I would kind of use for that situation, guys. It's something to think about too with it. The reason why I focused on, you know, a pistol that I can operate easily with one hand. If you have a large dog and the dog is freaking out because there's an aggressor that they're wanting to either protect you from or protect themselves from, you might not be able to get that two-handed grip on your pistol because you are holding the dog in, you are pulling the leash in. So this hand might be used for that, and it will just be much easier for you anyway to be able to do everything with one hand. So those are things to think about. Those are things that you can practice for, right? Think about whenever you go outside next, if you had to draw a pistol or use, you know, one hand to do it, could you do it? And then think about too, what do you take outside? Do you take flashlights outside with you, or do you trust, if you live in a neighborhood, do street lamps, do you trust that those work good enough? And if something were to encounter you, what would be your response to it? Let me know what you guys think about this, and if you guys have any questions or anything like that, please let me know down in the comments. As always, guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of good stuff coming out, a lot of good partnerships coming this way, so we'll definitely stay tuned for those. As always, guys, stay tuned for more awesome videos coming out. Sarge out.